I hook up with a mafia boss on vacation with my boyfriend. My partner and I were sailing across the turquoise seas of the Caribbean on our way to a vacation of a lifetime. My boyfriend James and I had been seeing each other for almost a year when we decided to take a vacation together on a private island in the Caribbean. We hoped that this trip would be the perfect place to unwind and recharge ourselves. We had no idea that our picturesque trip would take an unexpected but pleasant turn. As James and I made ourselves comfortable in our opulent beachside villa, the tranquil beauty of the island surrounded us. The days were filled with dozing on the sugary white sands, basking in the warmth of the sun, and indulging in the delectable cuisine that the island had to offer. Up until one fateful afternoon, everything appeared to be in perfect order. My attention was drawn to a man off in the distance along the vacant stretch of shoreline as I was having a leisurely stroll along the beach because it was our very last day in this paradise. The length of the beachfront was completely empty. I blinked a few times while attempting to make sense of what I was seeing. There, standing in the shadow of a palm tree, was a man who was completely unlike anyone else I had ever encountered. His dark, disheveled hair served as a frame for his face, which emanated both allure and mystique. Our gazes briefly locked, and when they did, I felt a skip in the beat of my heart. My mind started to wander as a result of the unexpected rush of conflicting feelings that came over me. I felt confused and perplexed. My commitment to James, the man I was dating at the time, was called into doubt, and I was baffled as to why I was developing feelings for a complete stranger who lived on the same island. I turned away from him to calm my racing heart, and when I turned back around, I saw that he was surrounded by a large number of security personnel dressed in black suits and holding their hands behind their backs. I stared at him once more, this time with a greater level of interest since I was attempting to identify which famous person he was. I didn't realize that while I was examining him, I had walked so near to him that it would have been hard for him to avoid looking at me. I was unable to endure the sight of that man, so I just smiled and left when he arched his eyebrow and smirked at me. I couldn't stand him because I had butterflies in my stomach. Even after some time had gone, I could not stop thinking about that charming man. Even James, who had been concerned about my spacing out since the morning, questioned me on more than one occasion. Because James participated in a work-related conference call, I was forced to go to the beach party on my own because I did not want to waste time doing anything inside. Our paths collided once more at the exciting beach party that was held on the island. It was pointless to even attempt to talk to him because he was still surrounded by guards, so I was simply staring at him in awe until he approached me this time, at which point I was surprised. To my taken aback, he inquired, so I told him that I had been attempting to recognize him since the morning but had been unsuccessful so far. He chuckled heartily, and I thought the sound of his laugh to be so charming that I couldn't help but stare at him without making a sound. He asked me why I was attempting to recognize him, so I told him I assumed he was famous because he was surrounded by guards. After that, we had a brief talk in which I found out that he is not a celebrity but rather the CEO of a company, and the guards that were surrounding him were there to protect him from any threats. I questioned him, so if anyone attacks you, these guards will protect you, right? And he said, no, if anyone attacked me, then these guards will protect that unfortunate being from me. Then I became aware that he is a potentially harmful individual. Throughout the course of our chat, I felt an increasing tug in his direction. A bond that cannot be denied was sparked by his vivacious personality as well as common interests. When he saw me looking at him, he reached out and grabbed my arm. However, I didn't release his hold on my hand. Instead, I stepped in closer to him. He asked me about my plans for tonight, but I did not respond because I was divided between my allegiance to James and the magnetic draw towards that mysterious man. I was caught between the two, and I did not know what to do. I couldn't deny the chemistry that I felt, but at the same time, I treasured the memories that I had shared with James and the relationships that we had formed. My feelings are all over the place and I'm not sure why. I left our conversation unfulfilled and promptly left the party and sought consolation in the island's stunning scenery, hoping to find clarity between the pounding seas and whispering winds. In this perplexity, I sat on the beach, pondering the options that were available to me as the sun set behind the island and sent a warm golden glow over it. He sensed the turmoil going on inside of me and approached me once more, this time asking if I found anything that he had said to be offensive. Then I was honest with him about my complicated feelings for him and told him that I was with my boyfriend at the time and that I couldn't leave him because I loved him so much, but that I couldn't ignore the attraction I felt towards him as a person either. I also told him that I will be leaving the island tomorrow with my boyfriend and that after that there is a 100% chance that we will never see each other again. But I cannot put out the fire that I have in my heart for him. He listened to everything with understanding and depth of my emotions, and after I had finished talking, he drew near to me and said, "Forget everything for a second." Shortly after that, his lips crashed into mine, and we shared a passionate kiss. After that, he said that if there is a 100% chance that we will never meet again, then there is no reason why we should leave these emotions unfulfilled. One thing led to another, and eventually, we found ourselves in his bedroom. When his phone rang, he took it up from the nightstand, and there was a gun right next to his phone. After he finished his discussion, I questioned him who he actually was, and he responded by saying that he is a leader of the Mafia. When I was about to respond, my phone rang, and it was James. I got up, dressed myself, and grabbed my sandals. When I was leaving his room, he asked if I was afraid of him now. I smiled, shook my head, and then went.